All right, so let's take a look at the first definition that we have here. Okay, the first one is for employment agency. Okay, and so what is an employment agency? Okay, an employment agency is basically a business that has a list of job listings. And they specialize in placing people into jobs. Okay, so typically an employment agency, they're going to help people find jobs and they don't do it for free. They are a business. So they will typically charge some kind of fee or percentage rate once they place you into a job out of your first paycheck or first few paychecks. They take a small fee or a percent usually, and that's how they get paid for placing people into jobs. Okay. Fee paid. Okay, what this means is when an employer is hiring you, they will pay the fee to the employment agency if they're using an employment agency. Okay, so this is when an employer hires you. They pay the fee to the agency. Okay, so that means you don't have to pay it, that they are going to pay it. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, the next one is resume. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of what a resume is. Okay, but this is basically a document that contains a list of your education and qualifications. So next we've got Form W-4. Okay, this is a form used by employers for income tax purposes. Okay, typically this is going to tell your employer how much money they need to withhold from your paycheck for taxes. Okay, you usually fill this out with your employer when you first get hired. So when you get your first job, if you haven't got a job yet, you're going to fill one of these out. If you have a job, you probably filled one of these out when you very first got hired. Okay. The next one is benefits. So this is additional compensation besides money. Okay, that is given by an employer. Okay, and for this one, I'll give you guys some examples. Health insurance, dental insurance, childcare, retirement, travel expenses. All of those things are considered benefits. okay? So their non-monetary compensation, okay, given by your employer. Okay, now the last thing we're going to go over is discount. I'm going to put this down here since I'm a little bit out of room. Okay, this is the amount the fee or cost is lowered. Okay, so we are going to be talking about discounts in a couple questions later on. Okay, so for example number 1, it says Julianne found a job listed in the classified ads that pays a yearly salary of $41K. Now, what does $41K mean? It means $41,000. So this is her yearly salary, okay? What is the weekly salary based on this annual salary, okay? So if this is her salary per year, they're asking us what is her weekly salary. This is what we're trying to find out, okay? Now, how do we find out the weekly salary? Well, how many weeks are there in a year? Okay, in a full year, there's 52 weeks in a year, right? 52 weeks in a year. So what we're going to do is we're going to take her salary and we're going to divide it by how many weeks are in a year. So we're going to take her 41,000 and divide it by 52 and see what we get. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's take out our calculator. We'll go ahead and do that division. Okay, and we get 788.461538. Okay, now this is an amount of money, so let's make sure we write it as money. So I'm going to only write 2 numbers after the decimal. So I'm going to write 788.46 because when I look at the number just to the right of the 6, it is a 1, which is telling me to leave the 6 alone. So that's going to be my answer, $788.46. And this is her salary per week. Okay, we found that by dividing by 52 because there are 52 weeks in 1 year. Okay, so for number 2, it says Karen found a job with an annual salary of 67.3. So this is kind of weird the way they wrote this with the decimal. What this means when you have that decimal point is it's $67,300. Okay, so that's what that 67.3 means. This is her annual salary, so this is per year. Okay, next, it says, what is her monthly salary? So this is what it's asking us is how much does she make per month? Okay, it wants it rounded to the nearest dollar. All right, so if it's asking me per month, how many months are there in a year? Well, there's 12 months in every year. So we're going to take her yearly salary and divide it by the number of months. So her yearly salary, $67,300. We're going to divide it by 12. And let's see what we get. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take my calculator, divide by 12. Okay, it told me to round to the nearest dollar. Okay, so it's not asking me for any cents in my answer. So when I round this to the nearest dollar, I want to get rid of all of my change. So I'm going to go ahead and just go right there. It's going to be $5,608. Okay, and I'll do the squiggly equal because I did round here. Okay, and this is per month, right? We divided by 12. There's 12 months in 1 year. We rounded it to the nearest dollar because that's what the instructions said. If it had asked for to the nearest cent, I would have left it at 33 cents. Okay, but it didn't. It asked for the nearest dollar. So I'm going to go ahead and round to the nearest dollar. Okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at number 3. So on number 3, it says Dylan took a job through an employment agency. The job pays $395 per week. Dylan must pay a fee to the employment agency. The fee is 20% of his first 4 weeks' pay. How much money must Dylan pay to the agency? Okay, so this is how a lot of these agencies work, is they charge a fee to place you into a job, and they take a certain percent out of your first initial checks. So it's telling us that Dylan's job, he's making $395 per week. Okay, the employment agency is taking 20% fee out of his first 4 weeks. Okay, how much money is he going to pay them? Well, let's first find out how much is he making for those first 4 weeks. So he's making $395 per week. Let's multiply that by 4 and see what he's making over the first 4 weeks. So I'll go ahead and get my calculator out. He's making $1,580 over the first 4 weeks. Now, it says they're going to take a 20% fee. So remember, if I have 20% and I want to multiply that by what he's making, I've got to turn it into a decimal. Okay, so I'm going to take it and move the decimal 2 place values. So I'm going to use 0.20 as my decimal number. Okay, I'm then going to go ahead and take for the first 4 weeks, his salary times the 20% as a decimal. And then I'm going to multiply and see what I get. So times 0.20 is going to be 316. So this is the fee that he's paying to the employment agency, is he's paying $316 fee, right? This is how much he's paying them for finding him that job. And he's paying this out of his first 4 weeks of his salary. Okay, so number 4, we have some problems in this unit where we work with something called a piecewise function. So we're going to be looking at these piecewise functions. This is what they look like, where they're a function where, depending on the value of x, you either use one part of the function or the other. Okay, and this is because for different values of x, the situation is different. Okay, and so we're going to look at this problem, and I'll try to explain to you why we would use a piecewise function here. Okay, so it says Ken is a mechanic who owns Ace Auto Repair. He needs a foreign car expert and is placing a 12-line classified ad. So he's placing an ad in the paper because he's trying to hire someone, right? He's trying to hire a foreign car expert. The cost of placing the ad, depending on how many lines it is, so they're using a variable, this is just some number, okay, that is unknown right now, okay, is given by the following piecewise function. Find the cost of a 12-line ad, okay? So here's the thing. The ad only costs $56 when the number of lines is less than or equal to 4 lines. So if I get an ad for 4 lines, 3 lines, 2 lines, or 1 line, it's only going to cost me $56. But if I go over 4 lines, if I have to get a 5-line ad, a 6-line ad, a 7-line ad, anything over 4 lines, I'm going to have to pay $56 plus $6 per additional line, okay? And so when we're looking at this piecewise function, x always represents the number of lines that we're purchasing, okay, in the ad, all right? This number here is like the base price. You can think of that number as your base price, so that's like the initial cost. And this is for up to this certain number of lines. So in this case, it's for up to 4 lines. But I'm just going to put for up to a number of lines. Okay. And so anything over that number of lines, okay, is going to be using this formula. Anything up to this number of lines is going to be this price. So when you go over this specified number of lines, okay, then you have to pay more, all right? And we're paying The cost that we're paying more is we're paying $6 extra per line. All right, so this amount here is telling us how much more we're paying for each of our additional lines. Okay. Now you'll notice in this piecewise function that these two numbers are always the same, and they also match this one. So you'll see here that whatever this number is the same, and this number is the same. Okay, those three numbers are always going to be the same. All right. Now to evaluate a piecewise function, we need to look at what is our value of x, and do we use the top function or do we use the bottom? And so when I'm looking at my value of x, it told me that x was the number of lines, and it told me that I'm purchasing a 12-line ad. So in this scenario, x is 12. So that means I'm using the bottom row. Okay, so I will use the bottom row. And in the bottom row, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to write down what the bottom row says. So the bottom row says that C of x, which is the cost, is going to equal $56 plus $6 times the number of lines I purchase, take away 4. Now remember, I'm taking away 4 because 4 lines were included in the original price, right? So to go ahead and solve the cost, I just need to make sure that I'm doing this in order. So go back and think about your order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? The PEMDAS. Parentheses always comes first. So I'm going to do parentheses first. So I'm going to do 56 plus 6 times 8. Okay, E is for exponents. I don't have any exponents. M for multiply or divide in order from left to right. So do I have multiplication? I do. That's going to be my next step. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply. So my cost is now 56 plus 48. And last, I'm going to add. So my final cost is going to be 56 plus 48, which is $104. Okay, so $104, this is my actual cost of my ad. That is my final answer. Okay, are there any? All right, so we're going to take a look at number 5 then. So on number 5, it says a local newspaper charges $13 for each of the first 4 lines of a classified ad and $7.50 for each additional line. Express the cost of an X-line ad, C of X, as a piecewise function. So what this one's asking me to do is it's not asking me to solve anything. It's asking me to write one of these functions for this situation. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and write it. Okay, it says use C of X, so that's going to be our cost, C of X equals, I'm going to use my curvy brackets. Okay, I know that this top number that goes up here should be my base price. So what was my base price? My base price for the first 4 lines is right here, $13. So that's going to go there. This is for the first 4 lines. So that number, the first 4 lines, is going to tell me my boundary when x is less than or equal to 4. Okay. I'm getting that from how many lines are included in the base price. This is my number of included lines. Okay, now to write the second row, I'm going to use that same base price plus this number here is my additional fee per line. Well, in this problem, it was 6, but in this problem, what is my number? $7.50. So I'm going to change that to $7.50 times x minus, and the number that I write here is the same number that I wrote here. It's 4. Okay, and this situation is for when we exceed this number of lines, so when x is greater than 4. okay? And remember, these numbers 4, 4, 4 are always going to be the same. Your symbols are going to face always less than or equal to on this row, greater than on this row, okay? And so there's my piecewise function. Now it's not asking me to do anything with it, it's just asking me to write it. So this is actually my answer, is writing out the actual function. Okay. All right, we're gonna skip number 6 and come back to it because this one's a little bit out of order. So I wanna do number 7 and 8, and then we'll come back to number 6, okay? So for number 7, it says Jane's printing service charges $29.95 to print 200 high-quality copies of a one-page resume. Each additional set of 100 copies costs $14. Express the cost R of X of printing X sets of 100 resumes as a piecewise function. Okay, so we're doing the same thing that we were doing up here, except this time it's telling us our cost. Instead of calling it C of X, we're calling it R of X. No big deal. Okay, it's just using a different letter. It's fine. Okay, it's still meaning the cost. All right. Okay, so now what is the base price? The base price is $29.95. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and write that on the first line. And this is the price we use when X is less than or equal to. Now on this one we have to be a little bit careful because I'm inclined to put 200, but then down here it starts talking about that X is a set of 100 copies. Okay, so if I have 200 copies included, how many sets of 100 is this? Well, if a set is 100, this is really 2 sets of copies, right? Because there are 100 in each set. So what's included in this base price is up to 2 sets, not up to 200, up to 2 sets, because a set is 100 copies, okay? So we're going to put 2 for our number here. Okay, next we're going to go on to the next line. So the next line is base price plus the cost for each additional set. So it tells us down here, each additional set of 100 costs $14. So it's going to be plus 14 times X minus, remember this number, always the same as this one, 2. And this is for when X is greater than, this number is always the same as this one, 2. Okay. Okay, so we're going to take a look at number 8. Number 8 says Pete needs 77 copies for his resume. Jane's charges 39 cents per resume quality copy. Should he pay individually for the 77 copies or get 100 copies at the prices from example 7? Okay, so explain why. So let's think about this. He could either do this package, the $29.95 for up to 200 copies, or he could do 39 cents per resume, and he needs 77. So let's figure out which one's going to be cheaper, okay? So if he does the 39 cents per resume, that's 0.39 times 77 resumes. Let's see how much that's costing him. Get my calculator out. 0.39 times 77. It's costing him $30.03. Okay, this is paying for 77 resumes. That's the cost if he does this deal here. Okay, the other option is he just pays the $29.95, and this is for up to 200 copies. Okay, so which one is going to be cheaper? Well, even though he doesn't need 200 copies, right? This one's actually more expensive. So he's kind of better off doing the pricing from example 7, that package, okay, because he's going to pay less and he has extra copies if he needs them. So he should use the package pricing from example 7. Because it costs less and he will have extra resume copies in case he needs them. Okay, so now we're going to go back to number 6, which is a little bit of a different topic. Okay, so number 6, we're not working with a piecewise function. Okay, we just have this problem. It says an online job search site charges employers fees to post job listings. Their price list is shown in the table. So here's the price list. It's based off number of postings and price per job posting. Okay, the prices per posting decrease as the number of postings increases. So if we look here, it starts at $3.95, it's going down, 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 down in price, down in price. The more postings you post, the cheaper it is per post. Okay, so the question says, what is the percent savings if an employer decides to post 4 jobs? Okay, so this type of problem is really asking, what's our percent discount? Okay, and there's a formula you can use for that. So I'm going to have you write down the formula. The formula is that the percent discount, or another way to say that is the percent savings, okay, is equal to the original price minus the discount price divided by the original price. Okay, so that is our formula. Okay, now in this question, it's asking us to find the percent discount or the percent savings based on going from 1 posting to, it says that he's going to do 4 job posts, okay? So we're going from our original price here up to, or down to rather, this price here, okay? And it wants to know what is our savings on that, or what is our percent discount on that, okay? Percent savings. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it into the formula. The original price is this one. The discount price is this one. So I'm going to use both of those in my problem. Original price, $3.95, minus the discount price, $3.50, divided by the original price, $3.95. Okay, we'll go ahead and simplify this by subtracting first. So 45 divided by 395. And then let me get out my calculator and let me see what we get. Okay, I'm getting 11.11392405. Okay, so I'm just going to take it, let's just do 3 decimals out. So that would be 0.113, but I look at the place next to it, it's a 9. So the 9 is telling me to round the 3 up. So I'm going to actually round that to 0.114. Okay, now it's asking me for a percent discount. So for my final answer, I need to write my final answer as a percent. So I'm going to move this decimal twice, and this is giving me 11.4%. This is the percent discount off of the original price per job posting. So this is how much you're saving by posting 4 jobs instead of 1. You're saving 11.4% per post. Okay. All right, so that is it for our notes.